Hi there and welcome to this new little video about thumbnail sketching, which is a very important part of my workflow, and I really want to share this with you. Now, I use thumbnail sketching to explore multiple ideas very quickly, kind of like, taking rough notes for the planning stage of my illustration. I first come up with a concept, and in this video the concept is a summer pinup of a girl with an inflatable rubber ring, the ones that we take with us to the beach, that one. And here's a couple of tips about the way I break it down. I first usually give the character a prop or a secondary character to interact with. This way it makes the illustration a bit more fun to do and interesting to look at. But the main purpose of the prop and the secondary character is to help inspire many ideas and poses. Which leads me on to my second tip, which is the 4 pose categories, which I've mentioned so many times. And they are standing poses, sitting poses, kneeling poses, and reclining poses. So basically, if I'm thinking of a standing pose, I look at the prop and I think to myself, okay, what can she do standing with this prop? That's the whole point of the prop, to help inspire the pose or the idea. So maybe she can hold it above her head, around her neck, over her shoulder, around her waist, on the floor. So you automatically come up with dozens upon dozens of poses if you just follow those 2 tips. Now, this took about 20 minutes, and usually I'll pick my favorite one, and then I just take it and put it in the top corner, and then that little thumbnail, the little rough little sketch, transforms itself from a little rough thumbnail to a reference now. Now, usually I just take the thumbnail and make it into a massive scaled version, just scale it up, and then on a new layer, I go over it and slowly put in the details and everything. But you can also do it this way as well. I'm going to do a few more images. I'm going to take a few of these little thumbnails and create a bigger scaled version of them. So on the next one, you'll see what I'm talking about when I just take the thumbnail and scale it up. But you can also do it this way as well. It's more challenging actually, but it's easier if you just scale it up. If you feel like tweaking to get the proportions correct and stuff like that, tweak it whilst it's still in the thumbnail stage. Now, this little image was funny because my friend I had a friend around and he was watching me draw this, and he says to me, "Man, that doesn't look like a rubber ring. It looks like an anaconda." And I was like, you know what? You're right. It does look like an anaconda. And I actually turned it into an anaconda in the end. But it's amazing how you start with one concept which could lead to something else just by getting inspired by something unintentional. And there's my little bear, by the way. Isn't he funny? Cool. So here I take the thumbnail and I scaled it up. I'll drop the opacity on the thumbnail and I just go over it on a new layer. Now, like I mentioned before, if you feel like, for example, the head here needs to be raised a little bit and I moved it, but if you feel like, because when you're in a really rough mode and you're just like sketching around these little thumbnails, I don't think about details. I don't think about proportions. I just want to get the idea down. So 9 times out of 10, the scale, if you scale it up and you'll start seeing the proportions, it might be off. It might not be balanced out properly. So if you need to mend stuff, if it's really obvious, do it in the thumbnail stage before you start putting the hard work. And and then after that, when you scale it up, it's just more easier to just trace over it, like I'm doing now and stuff. There's my little bunny rabbit, my little bear, getting excited to run towards to the ocean right there, jump in the water and stuff. And you got Cherry there with the rubber ring. I mean, even the rubber ring is not even. I mean, the shape is a bit funny. It's more bottom heavy. I need to fix that. So if I come back to this image, I will change it. This one, I decided to change the actual pose and I dropped the legs down. Now, as you look at it now in a sketch form, the main focal point is the woman and the legs and everything, but that's not my purpose. If I was to ever come back to this one and render it out, then what I'll do is, with the colors and everything of the underwater world right there, because that's the main focal point for me. The purpose of this little sketch here is the world underneath, the underwater world, all the fish and different patterns and colors and stuff. So if I ever do come back to this one, you're gonna see something very vibrant and stuff. But as a sketch format, she is the main focal point. Have that in mind when you're drawing things, to think about the negative space below and around her and stuff, what is going to occupy that, or if it's not going to be anything occupying it, then obviously the main character will be the focal point. And this is going to be a bunch of fishes and stuff, and this one I could feel it will turn out as a nice little image. Here I came back to this one to add some value to the beach behind her. This one, this one's a quite kind of funny one. It doesn't look, it was meant to be my character Cherry, but it's just one draft, and sometimes it doesn't look exactly like my character as I'm whizzing through it. I remember I was fussy about the hands because I wasn't paying attention to where the weight of her, she's putting all her weight above on her palms. So the hands were a bit off. Then I noticed that it should be more central like that. And still, it is not really believable because it looks like her hands are just hovering over, just pressing against it, where it should be the palms of her hands, the palms should be on the inner parts of the ring, pressing down all the weight. So if I ever do come back to this one, I didn't notice it whilst I was drawing, I'm noticing it now as I'm talking. I will fix it. And I was drawing my little bear here, and at some reason it ended up looking like Winnie the Pooh. I don't know why, especially when I'm going to give him a little mouth in a sec, and I'm going to give him some eyeballs as well. So if I ever do come back, I need to change her face to look like Cherry, a bit more like Cherry, fix the hands, and change. I mean, look, if you paint that little bear yellow, slap a little red top, you got Winnie the Pooh. You know what? I actually might keep it as Winnie the Pooh. Why not? Why not? Anyway, so that's this one, and I'll go to the next one. This one I dropped the leg down. At first I was going to keep it this small because I thought like maybe raise her up and have her like hovering on the horizon of the ocean. And then below, I was planning on having like this humongous, gigantic, friendly octopus, maybe multicolored or orange. But I thought it might be too loud because I actually did want her to be I wanted her to be the focal point. And so in the end I decided to like just make her big, and then at the end of this video you'll see this little tiny fish, kind of like Nemo, kind of like hovering just below. And yeah, that's where I was going with this one. So usually when I'm looking at my thumbnails, I usually pick one, my favorite one, and just do a nice illustration. But sometimes I like to take maybe 3, maybe 4. Now in this one I think I took 7, I can't remember, 7 little images. And I just picked my favorite one. And that favorite one will become the rendered image after. Now this one was an interesting one as well. I remember I got bored of the high bun, and the hair. And at some point I do drop the hair down into like this nice little wavy, like as if it's blown by the air and everything, by the wind. It's really, really cool. I remember I didn't like the legs. Like, as you can see, the waterline is just above the knees. I didn't like that, and at some point I raised it up to touch the edge of the float. Here's where I changed the hair, dropped it down, a little bit wavy. Now don't forget, these are all just one draft. So I did everything in one go. Yeah. So if I'm really interested in this illustration, then I'll go over it, a few more times and tweak it until I get it exactly the way I have it in my mind. And my little bear and my little bunny rabbit. If you're new to this channel, these two characters go along with they're my little secondary characters to this female character called Cherry. And here's a little fun fact for you. The little bear, I actually designed him when I was a kid. Now, it didn't look like this, but it changed throughout the years. He evolved. But that bear, I've always had a soft spot for him because everybody just loves, for some reason, just prefer the rabbit because I don't know, they find it more fun. For me, it's the bear. I've got a little soft spot for the bear since it's been around in my life since I was a child. Maybe that's why, I'm not sure. And yeah, so this is the final illustration for this one. And then I went for this one. And I remember this one was bugging me a lot. Here it's seen right now, I'm tweaking it around as it's in its thumbnail stage. And then I go in and start cleaning things up and, adding all the details. But this one was bugging me because of the ring. For some reason, I couldn't get that float around her, the shape that I wanted. It was really bugging me to get that balanced out shape and stuff. I was tweaking around, then I got frustrated with it, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna turn this into like an animal floatable, inflatable ring, like this. So then I was like, okay, so what exactly am I gonna draw here? So I just drew this random tail and this random head, which is gonna be changed in a second now. And as I moved on down the legs, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I've seen people with like unicorn type, floats around them. Dropped the hair here on this one as well because I got fed up with the bun. And then I went on Google and I Googled a bunch of them, and I saw this one of a flamingo. I think it was a flamingo. Was it a flamingo? Some kind of bird or something. And I thought, you know what, this might be really, really cool. So I found the reference and I decided to turn it into that bird, whatever it was. I think it was a flamingo. I wasn't sure. It was pink though, so it might be. Yeah, so here we go. Now, stay focused on the eye. Watch this. Keep looking at the eye. Look at that. Look at that eye. That eye just makes me laugh, man. It cracks me up. Anyways, and here the legs were too low down. They were right proportion, but it was just way below the floats. The floats, I wasn't paying attention, and it kind of cut her body off. The same friend said to me, Paris, why don't you just draw the bear sitting on a turtle as it's acting as a float instead of an actual rubber ring? It would be kind of funny. I thought, yeah, why not? It was not a bad idea. I actually liked it. So I drew that there as well, and yeah, so one thing leads to another, which is really great when you're interacting with a prop and, you know, the animal characters. So that's my little workflow I just wanted to share with you. Always remember, give your character a prop or a secondary character to interact with. This way you'll help inspire many ideas. Yeah, and don't forget the 4 poses: standing, sitting, kneeling, reclining. And here are the final images. My favorite one was this one with the little tiny Nemo type little fish and my anaconda. Anyways, I'll see you on another video very soon. Bye bye for now.